Our next question comes from Garrett, who asks, with the leak that Southwest will be raising their annual fees, it got me thinking, which card or company will break the annual fee camel's back, so to speak? What's the one where everybody collectively says, okay, that's it, I'm out, and has a critical mass of cancellations? I think we're coming to that pretty close, and I think it's going to depend per issuer to a certain extent. Lonnie, I will throw back to you as RJ has joined witness protection on this question.
Nope, we're already there. You already see it. We've all
Yeah.
said it behind the in the communities and the discords and the comments. Like we're all over these annual fees and the annual fee raises. And I got a question. My topic later is coming up on this, so I don't want to get too deep in what I'm about to say. But for what are we paying extra for? And I think that's the reason why I think we're already there, because it started way before just recently. A lot of people are like, oh, it all started when the CSR said when they raised theirs. But you got to remember, like, Chase was raising annual fees, like just using United again. The United cards went up way before the CSR went up. The Black Club card ended up costing more than the CSR, and that's what kind of like sparked a lot of the Chase stuff. That CSR is definitely going to go because the United Club's not going to be the most expensive card they have. All that whole rigmarole, but it all started a while ago, and in some cases, it worked out. I'm not even going to say it had even started just this year. Like we can go back to Amex Gold going to in the 300 range where we're all like, no, I'm not paying for that. And a lot of us still paid for it. I'm still paying for it, but I'm not going to pay for that. And now it's getting to a point where it's like, it's not that big of a deal. But when you have as many cards as the majority of us have, like on average, we have 5, sometimes maybe even 10. I'm over 10. And you get, now I got like 4 or 5 cards over $500. Hey, yo, pump the brakes. I ain't in it for this no more. This ain't it. This ain't where it's at. So I think we've already hit that point, and it's only getting worse where now we're actually, remember when cell phones were like small and then they got really big and then they got small again? I think that's where we're at. Annual fees are getting really big, and now we're like, screw that. Let's go ahead and get small again. Let's make our wallet small. Like we're having this epiphany revelation moment of, do I need 15 cards? No, I don't. I would be just fine with 2. Go find me 2 cards. Granted, for me, even 2 cards is still over $1,000 that I would keep, but I'm just saying, let's just be real. I'm not getting rid of my Aspire anytime soon. I think I'm going to keep it. So that's 500 there. My brilliant. If I end up keeping that longer than I expect to, I'm over $1,000. So we're not
Yep.
even in transfer partner cards, and I think that's enough. I've told y'all before, I spend over $3,000 in annual fees, and if these things keep going up, it's pushing 35. Eventually, it's going to start pushing 4, and at some point, there's a breaking point. I've already hit my breaking point. My pump the brake point was 3,000, where I started. Yeah, what can I start getting rid of? So now that it's even going even higher than that, I'm already there. Me personally, I'm already there, but I don't think I'm alone in this battle.
Yeah, no doubt. RJ, or where's your? Wait a second.
So I think there's a couple of ways to talk about this question. Most people, even people who like credit cards, don't have a ton of annual fees that are super high, right? Like we who have higher annual fees, and Lonnie and I are both in that camp, we are not the norm. We're not even the like 15 or 20%, right? It's not unusual for people to have 4 cards with annual fees and them all be at around $100, right? Maybe they've got an autograph journey or they've got a CSP or whatever. Or just have one high annual fee card, one platinum, one CSR, one of those. Right? So I think that because of that perspective, it takes longer because they might cancel the CSR and then go to the platinum and then stay with the platinum for a couple years. And then when that feels like the frog has been boiled, they'll go to the Venture X and they'll stay with that. Like people who are in the game, but not really, can do that bouncing to where if you told me I have to give my platinum up and go to a CSR or go to a Venture X, I would start like sweating profusely because my strategy is built on certain things. Now, the only thing that's constant in the credit card game is change, as we've seen today with some of the news, right? Only constant. But usually you can find something in your ecosystem to fill needs, or you can just be like, I'm good with 2x on everything with a Blue Business Plus versus trying to get 3 or 4. So for me, like I am canceling some cards or downgrading some cards for annual fee reasons, but I am also the master of my own destiny. If I just get to a point where I don't want to pay the annual fee, I'm just going to not pay that annual fee and figure out another way. I don't think there's going to be mass canceling because if you can, if you have enough skill or you have enough desire to play the game, most cards can work for most people in most situations. It's just how much do you want to do? Like, I could get value out of a United Club card. I could. I absolutely could. There are places I could fly where I could do a direct United flight, not have to do a layover, and I could get some value or shorter layovers or whatever, right? Like, I could get value. It would split me from Delta. It would water down both what I could get from Delta and what I could get from United, but I could make it work. If you put a phaser to my head and told me I have to get this card and use it, I could do it. But that's not the best use of my time. But I could still get value out of it. So, like, I think that's part of the thing is like people who are paying higher annual fees, we can get value out of it. So until that tipping point of value versus annual fee hits, we're less likely to do a mass cancel. If the platinum just goes to 1,500 and they add a Resi credit in Hilton, yeah, a bunch of people are going to cancel that card. And there's a bunch of people who do not pay attention at all to that annual fee. I must have spent more this month. Let me just pay this bill. And they don't even look at the annual fee. So it really, I don't know if there is a singularity, a singular point that this is going to hit. I don't think there's necessarily going to be that point because of the sporadic nature of credit cards, because of the disjointed, the different ecosystems, the different cards, the different strategies.
How do you get into that tax bracket where you just swipe and pay and you don't count your coins? It's one of two things. From where I'm sitting, you're in a very high tax bracket than where I'm at, where you're just like, I got it, I ain't worried. Or you're not financially savvy and educated and you're very low tax bracket and you're just like
when I worked for a company that had annual, you could pay monthly or you could pay annually, right? And I was on the phones doing billing. We would have people regularly who spent $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 over a couple year period call in and be like, "Oh, I thought I canceled this. You've paid it here and here." It just comes out. I don't check those accounts. They're just money sitting, and they're like paying $2,000 or $3,000 a year, and they don't miss that money at all. So I have seen firsthand where people who even, you're making 80 to say $200,000, like a couple thousand can just pull out of your account, and if you're not paying attention, you may genuinely not miss it.
Turn off auto pay, y'all. I don't do that. Money leaves my account when I tell it to, not when some.
I have auto pay on as a backup because if life happens and something happens and I'm not paying it or paying attention, I want it there, but I manually pay all of my cards every month. Once the statement closes, I almost always just pay things. Like, because once the statement closes, I know what the amount is, right? Like I can just go in and pay. I don't need to wait.
It's fair. I think for different people, that line has already been crossed, as Lonnie said. I think depending on what your outlook is, what your card situation is, what your desire to continue playing is going to be based on have the changes to your card. If your card went from one yearly credit that was relatively easy to use and another credit that was like, okay, I can make this work. It's fine, but it's fine. I don't love it. I can make it work, to a yearly credit that's still super easy to use, a biannual credit, semi-annual credit, sorry, because biannual would mean every 2 years, a semi-annual credit that comes up first half of the year, second half of the year, trying to make sure that you get that portion of it, another semi-annual credit that does front and back half of the year, a third semi-annual credit that you have to make sure that, am I going to use this? Can I get value? Where are the restaurants? That sort of thing. Several monthly credits that now can add up over time. And like, your card went from something that was nice and clean and easy to a part-time job. When your card feels like a part-time job, it's definitely time to evaluate and reevaluate the card. That being said, like, I do think there are some magic numbers with certain cards. Like when the platinum card inevitably, because it will, I don't know when, it will cross $1,000. $1,000 is going to be a number that is going to be very hard for people to keep in on. Doesn't matter how many credits there are, doesn't matter how much value you're going to get back. $1,000 is still going to be a hard number for a lot of people to go, $1,000 comes out of my account every year to hold this card.
2030. It's going to happen before 2030.
Probably. But
it might happen before 2027.
It might happen before 2027. Who knows? I'm saying it's going to happen. I'm not putting an exact timeline on when it does, but that number is going to be really hard. When the Chase Sapphire Reserve goes from $795 to its next number, whatever that is, when that crosses the $1,000 mark, that's going to be really hard. When Capital One either launches a new card in the $1,000, I think $1,000 is going to be the hard line going forward. Even now, 700 is really hard. 700 and it feels like a part-time job. That ain't it, man. Because that's just too much work for the bank to let you save money. Like, we're at that point now. Critical mass of cancellations, I don't know when you're going to see that, because maybe June of next year with the Sapphire Reserve, maybe whatever, 1 year plus from the announcement of the Platinum refresh, because everybody's going to jump in, grab their 1 year of annual fee, grab their 1 year of welcome offer, and then change the card a year later. And I'm sure Chase's crack marketing department doesn't classify a change in the card. I had a Sapphire Reserve, but I product changed it to a Freedom, who knows, maybe there's going to be like a Freedom Nitro card or whatever in a year that they decide to product change to Freedom Nitro. They're not going to count that as a cancellation because the account is still active, right? So they're going to manipulate what a cancellation is, unless you just straight up cancel the card. Chase isn't going to make major changes to the Sapphire Reserve line and probably what their vision for Sapphire is, unless 5% of their cardholders give up. American Express won't change the Platinum card unless 7% of their customers, and I'm using numbers that don't sound small, that don't sound big, but are actually potentially huge deals. If 7% of 1 million users are getting rid of your card, that's 70,000 users that were paying $795 or $695. Math's a little off there, but it's a pretty sizable chunk of people, right? So we're not going to see that until the year mark, because everyone who's rushing to sign up for the card now is rushing to get the welcome offer, and they're going to say they're going to cancel it after a year. The critical mass of cancellations, we're at the beginning of the tide rolling out on that one. Next year, it's going to crash back in. Like, thanks to what the bank is doing, and thanks to people buying into 100,000 ultimate reward points and a $500 travel credit, I can manipulate that. Come on now, I have to sign up for this card. 5,000 and spend in 3 months, that's easy. So they're going to go get the welcome offer, and then they're going to crash out a year later. So critical mass of cancellations, critical changes to the cards aren't coming for a while. That's by design, and we're all buying into it. Yeah. Thanks, Garrett. But I do think $1,000 is probably a good line there.